Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Suspect held in shooting of school's delivery man and teacher. Police have held 2 suspects in connection with the shooting death of a school delivery man and the injury of a teacher from the institution last week. The suspects, who were picked up recently, are scheduled to face an identification parade as police continue to probe the daring attack. Police investigations have so far unearthed that the incident stemmed from an ongoing war between men from 2 separate but nearby communities in Kingston 11 area. Sanjay Wilson, 34, from Olympic Avenue, Kingston 11, was killed and the teacher admitted to hospital following the incident, which occurred at the gates of the Bay Farm Road institution. Police investigators have discovered that Wilson was the intended target of the gunman attack. It was reported that about 12:10 p.m., Wilson and the teacher arrived at the location in a white Nissan AD wagon to pick up lunches and children when they were pounced upon by 2 men traveling on a motorcycle. The Pillion police reported alighted and opened gunfire on them before they could exit the motor car, then went back on the bike and both men rode away. The injured victims were assisted to hospital, where Wilson was pronounced dead on arrival and the teacher admitted in stable condition. The police said 6 shells were found at the scene. Telecoms provider Flow calls for stiffer fines and longer sentences for persons caught stealing or vandalizing the company's infrastructure. Vice President and General Manager at Flow Jamaica, Stephen Price, is calling for stiffer fines and longer sentences for persons caught stealing or vandalizing the company's infrastructure. Mr. Price notes that theft and vandalism have several impacts on the country's development, citing several impacts on businesses, communities, and residents, with many sectors of society being impacted and tremendous financial loss experienced. Mr. Price says the fines or sentencing being meted out to perpetrators are not adequate.
Punishment must match the crime. Terrorism must be paid with the kind of fines and the kind of jail terms that's necessary. 25 matters outstanding in the courts involving 39 persons charged for various offences, including simple larceny, unlawful possession, malicious destruction of property, and trespassing on the works of a telecommunications firm. Some of these right now date back to 2016. Right? So they don't feel the penalties. They don't feel the effect. And many of them go on to do this.
Leader of opposition business Philip Powell said balance must be struck between academic and athletic proficiency when schools seek to enroll students. Leader of opposition business Philip Powell said a balance must be struck between academic and athletic proficiency when schools seek to enroll students. He was referring to the culture of some schools which accept students who could be the institution's brand in a particular sporting activity. Mr. Powell explained that while he appreciates that students are excelling in sports, value must be also placed on a student's academic prowess to ensure their holistic development.
I'm aware of the role that sport play in enrollment, because many schools now do want to benefit from older age students performing at champs, Manning Cup, etc., etc. And I'm not going to comment on the trading that takes place inter-schools, because we know that has been a practice done more by some than others. Madam Speaker, it is all well and good for our students to perform well in sport, but I'm sure the Minister of Education values a lot more their academic accomplishments, especially because we want to see them into universities, we want to see them get their bachelors of law, masters, and so on and so forth.
24,238 students enroll in the Sixth Form Pathways program. Education Minister Favor Williams says 24,238 students are enrolled in the Sixth Form Pathways program. Under the program, which was launched by the ministry in September 2020, the time frame in which students attend school has been increased from 5 to 7 years. Minister Williams, who was given an update on the program in Parliament on December 7, described the enrollment figures as historic, noting that an estimated 35,000 students leave Fifth Form annually. Mrs. Williams explained that having 24,238 students going to Sixth Form is significant. She said the program presents a government thrust at ensuring equity in education.
24,238 students are enrolled in grades 12 and 13 across pathways 1, 2, and 3 in 167 secondary schools and 42 tertiary or post-secondary institutions. Our students are enrolled in all of our regions, namely Region 1, Kingston and St. Andrew, Region 2, St. Thomas, Portland, St. Mary, Region 3, St. Anne, Trelawney, Region 4, St. James, Westmoreland, Hanover, Region 5, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Region 6, St. Catherine, and Region 7, Clarendon. Madam Speaker, 24,238 students in our sixth form pathways program is historic. It has never happened in Jamaica before. Our students are choosing education, Madam Speaker, and they are to be commended. Madam Speaker, for decades, the traditional Cape Sixth Form was funded by the government, but only a few could access it. Now, every student leaving grade 11 has the opportunity to benefit from government support for the furtherance of their education, not just some. This is a thrust at equity, an undergirding principle of our education system and every modern democracy. The Sixth Form Pathways program is a paradigm shift, Madam Speaker, for the education sector and the development of human capital in Jamaica. Madam Speaker, we are changing the course of history in Jamaica.
Trelawney gets public Wi-Fi hotspots. Duncans, Clarkston, and Falmouth in Trelawney are three of the most recent communities to benefit from the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology's installation of community and public Wi-Fi hotspots, which is spearheaded by the Universal Service Fund USF. Speaking of the House of Representatives and Member of Parliament for Trelawney South, Marissa Dalrymple-Filbert made the disclosure while commending the USF for moving the country forward in taking its place in the digital world and economy during her keynote address at the launch of the 19th public Wi-Fi in Falmouth Square on Friday. What has transpired today is a truly rich experience. I say it is rich because what is happening is encouraging wealth, and anyone who invests in our people, such as what the Universal Service Fund is doing, is going to get the highest yield that any country can get because our people are truly our greatest resource, Dalrymple-Filbert said. She further explained that COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted gaps in the country's technological landscape, which the ministry is working to bridge. We think of Jamaica as a place of lovely beaches, good weather, good food and music, but we don't realize that we have the potential to be technologically savvy and advanced and to take our place in the digital world, to move forward and to enjoy what the digital economy has to offer. This sort of investment by the USF is very welcome, and we have to implore our young people to appreciate it and use it wisely, she concluded. During last Friday's unveiling sermon in Falmouth, Chief Executive Officer of USF Daniel Dawes pointed out that the program has earmarked approximately $1.2 billion for the fiscal year 2022-2023 to foster universal and increased access to the internet while promoting digital inclusion across the island. Dawes added that up to 500 users can be accommodated daily, providing each user in the town with internet access for at least 3 uninterrupted hours each day. Meanwhile, Vice Principal at the William Knibb Memorial High School, Webster Thompson, who was also in attendance at the launch, explained that the initiative welcomed by citizens in and around the parish capital, particularly students, will be able to remain digitally connected at no additional expense. I think that this is a tremendous initiative because these days, if you are not digitally connected, you are behind the times. What is good about this is that it is free public access, and there are many people who cannot afford the various plans, no matter how cheap they claim to be, especially for students who are having internet access problems at home. They too will be able to do some browsing and some research here in the square, Thompson said. I suspect that the Universal Service Fund has plans to roll this out across other communities in Jamaica, and that is a fascinating situation because we really need to be able to interact more as a public more easily, free with the world around us in terms of personal development and business enterprises. So I am hoping that Falmouth is not the last stop on this train ride, he added. Please remember to subscribe, like,